Welcome to this episode of Destination Dare. Every community in the Outer Banks has a story to tell, and this show brings that information to life. From Dare County history to current events, from government services to local profiles, we keep you entertained, informed, and up to date.
When the Covid-19 pandemic struck the Outer Banks in the spring of 2020, it posed a series of challenges to more than just the health and well-being of those who contracted the virus. With many businesses closing their doors to adhere to the regulations, and many parents temporarily out of the workforce, or forced to work from home and no longer needing daycare providers to care for their children during the workday, daycare facilities throughout Dare County were suddenly filled with vacancies.
When COVID happened, the center, we struggled with enrollment, we struggled with staffing. Ultimately, we had to close for a few months, which we've never had to do, obviously. And we were finally able to reopen, and then upon reopening, we still are struggling with the same types of things, staffing, enrollment.
Because of these struggles, many Dare County daycares were standing at the brink of being forced to shut down their facilities for good.
One of the biggest concerns with the COVID pandemic that affected all of us with our enrollment being so low was if it continued without any kind of community help and support, it would have been so awful to not be able to be open and not be able to stay open and lose all these childcare and Montessori school spots and have to let all those employees go. It just would have been so tragic.
This not only had a devastating effect on the daycare providers, but also on the many parents who found themselves having to choose between the developmental health and well-being of their children and the demands of their work and daily responsibilities.
When the pandemic started, I think all parents in Dare County realized we were really going to be in a bind. There's so much we rely on our child care centers for: socialization, consistency, all sorts of those things. And when it hit and doors closed across the beach, we were at a loss and didn't know what to do, where to go, who to turn to. And lots of parents couldn't go to work because all the centers were closed.
Alarmed by the imminent negative impacts of COVID-19 on both early childhood education and childcare, Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County took immediate action. The nonprofit organization formed a committee consisting of board members, staff, and stakeholders who worked together to develop a plan to present to the Dare County Board of Commissioners. Recognizing the severity of the struggles that these parents and child care providers were facing, the commissioners took a proactive approach to the problem and helped to secure a solution that is unique to Dare County and the state of North Carolina. In early January, at its first meeting of 2021, the Dare County Board of Commissioners approved Children and Youth Partnership's proposal for the Early Childhood Education and Assistance Grant. This action resulted in the county providing $350,000 in funding to help child care providers continue to operate throughout the crisis, and to ensure that they are available to take care of the community's children once COVID-19 becomes a thing of the past.
The Early Childhood Education and Child Care Assistance Grant came out of the Dare County General Fund because the impact of COVID left some monies in some existing budgets that were unused. We were able to immediately make this money available to child care operators up to $10,000. And I'm just so very proud of Dare County government rising to this challenge.
The positive impacts of the grant have been wide and far-reaching, with more than a dozen Dare County daycares currently receiving assistance in the form of $400 per month per vacancy, funding that has ultimately kept the lights on and the doors open at many child care facilities during the COVID-19 crisis.
It was very helpful because we're receiving it on those children that we don't have enrolled. So it's on our vacancies. So it's allowing me to keep staff still working, keep our class sizes small so we're limiting our exposure and being able to just function because our expenditures are 3 times what they were.
In addition to providing a lifeline for daycare providers who were once concerned that their businesses might not survive the pandemic, the grant has also been a game changer for the hundreds of parents who rely on child care facilities remaining open so that they can continue to stay in the workforce during and post-pandemic.
I mean, it was very scary not to know when kids were going back to school, how they were going to go back to school, but given the resources that they are offering and providing, we've been able to do it, and we've been able to do it very successfully, and most importantly, our kids are happy.
By establishing this grant program, Dare County is taking a proactive approach to enable the community's children to have somewhere safe to go, and to ensure that their parents are able to stay in the workforce during and after the COVID-19 crisis.
Do you have what it takes to drive on the beach in Nags Head?
You don't even get to drive on the beach unless you have the proper permit.
Want a permit? You're gonna need a valid driver's license.
And a current registration.
Plus $25 by check or preferably cold,
hard cash.
Take all of that to the Nags Head Municipal Complex or one of the town's designated tackle shops.
You got the stuff?
Yes, ma'am. You got the money? $25, cash or check.
Okay. Wait, I need my glasses.
The permit goes on the left front bumper. It is valid from October 1st to April 30th. Renew it every year or else. Only permitted four-wheel drive vehicles are allowed. No electrical bicycles or ATVs.
Before you hit the sand, you need to let some air pressure out of your tires. They need to be between 15 and 20 psi. If you don't know how to do that, ask the YouTube. And don't even think about entering or exiting the beach without being at a town-designated beach access.
You can find this map and rules at nagsheadnc.gov. If beach conditions change, the access points may change.
Hey, can somebody help me up? Do not drive over 25 miles an hour and do not drive on the sand dunes. Beach driving time starts a half hour before sunrise and ends a half hour after sunset. And don't be driving out here well after dark.
Yield to pedestrians. They have the right of way.
And don't be driving like a fool, ever.
Here at the Kill Devil Hills Fire Department, we're not only dedicated to keeping our citizens and visitors safe, but your pets as well. Quite often people extensively plan for your family's safety and potential evacuation, but overlook important family members, your pets. We wanted to provide you with some tips to keeping your furry friends safe during an emergency. One important safety device you definitely need is a working smoke alarm. They can save your family and your pet's life. Pet-proof your home. Ensure there are no areas where pets can start fires accidentally. Stove knobs, loose wires, candles, fireplaces, and other potential hazards. Never leave a pet unattended with a lit candle or fireplace. Practice Edith. Exit drills in the home. Have an emergency plan and practice escape routes with everyone, including your pet. Pets may sleep in crates or with specific members of the family. It's good to keep in mind who will keep account of where your pet is in the middle of an emergency. During a fire, your pets will be terrified and they'll likely run to the places they feel the safest. If you must evacuate and can't find your pet in the house, leave a door open that leads to the outside, and then call the pet's name once you get out. With luck, they'll hear you and head for your voice. Be sure to have a designated meeting place near your home for everyone to meet so all will be accounted for a safe distance away from the fire. Keep the phone number and address of your local veterinarian and animal hospital handy. If your pet needs assistance, you'll need to know where to take them for treatment quickly.
Prepare an emergency kit for each pet. The kit should contain some of your pet's foods, their veterinarian paperwork, prescription medications, if any, and a photo description of your pet. You may have to board your pet at a kennel or other facility until you get settled after a fire, and they will require proof that your pet has current vaccinations. In the event of a fire or other disaster, if you must evacuate, the most important thing you can do to protect your pets is to evacuate them as well. But remember, never delay escape or endanger yourself or a family member to rescue a family pet. When a fire starts, smoke and heat inhalation is one of the most lethal factors affecting victims. Pets are especially susceptible to the threat due to their small airways and limited lung capacity. In the unfortunate instance that we are called to your home, the fire department has a particular safety item just for your dog. We were gifted pet oxygen masks of different sizes through the generosity of the Coastal Humane Society. These masks will help us save the lives of pets who are often needed more even during a tragedy. When you're at the beach, please don't let your dog ingest seawater. Their kidneys and livers can't process salt water, and it's very harmful to their system. For more information, visit kdhnc.com.
My name is Ron Tumalo, and I am a volunteer firefighter here at Kitty Hawk Fire Department. People ask me why I want to be a volunteer firefighter, and I tell them for the same reasons people volunteer to be scout leaders, serve in food pantries, work in their churches, or support local charities, and that is to help fill a gap or a need in the community. In my humble opinion, being a volunteer firefighter gives you an immediate opportunity to have an impact by helping someone that might be having the worst day of their life. And while you might not have the opportunity every day to save a life, you certainly will have an opportunity to have a positive effect on one. There is more to being a volunteer firefighter than just putting out fires. Here at Kitty Hawk Fire Department, you will be trained in fire suppression, search and rescue, basic life support, vehicle extrication, water rescue, hazardous materials, and emergency scene management. Additionally, whether or not you're a career firefighter or a volunteer, you'll have opportunities to attend advanced training to further sharpen those skills. Here's the best part. You don't need any prior experience. Here at the Kitty Hawk Fire Department, we will train you with all the skills necessary to perform safely and effectively on the fire ground or any emergency scene. Our volunteer training program is spread out over 12 months and is designed to be flexible with the schedules of working professionals. So until you complete all of your training, you'll be supporting fireground operations and not entering burning structures. But rest assured, there are plenty of tasks that need to be performed on the fireground or any emergency scene, and you will certainly have an opportunity to make an impact. Volunteering at the department begins with completing an inquiry form by going online to the Town of Kitty Hawk website. Click on Fire Department, fill out that form. Or you can simply stop by the station, fill out an inquiry form, and we'll be in touch with you. You just need to be 18 years or older, be a resident of the town, or live within 10 miles of the town line. Once you submit the form, a volunteer coordinator will contact you. Approximately 70% of our nation's firefighters are volunteers. If you have the time to volunteer, don't miss the opportunity to get involved. Get off the bench and get in the game today. Visit your local fire department and find out how you can be part of the team.
Hi, I'm Drew Havens. I'm the new town manager for the town of Duck. Originally from New Jersey, I was born in Manhattan, spent the first 12 years of my life in suburban New Jersey, and then my father changed jobs and we moved from suburbia to rural Vermont. which is where I spent my high school years, vowing not to return after I did my undergraduate in Syracuse, but then did return to Vermont and was there through 2001. I went through a number of different careers, so this is a second career path for me actually. Through a chain of events, ended up owning my own real estate appraisal firm in Vermont. I will say quite by accident, I became a law enforcement officer. I say by accident because I was actually approached, asked if I would be interested in doing that. Spent 12 years being a police officer, really enjoyed that, serving not only the community I grew up in, but some other surrounding communities as well. I ended up in this line of work actually, again, quite by accident. Friends of mine in my town where I grew up said I ought to run for what's the equivalent in Vermont of the town council. It's called the Board of Selectmen. And after quite a bit of convincing and maybe even some threatening, I did run and served a term on the town council. It's then I became very interested in local government and how it worked. Found out there was something called town manager. Didn't know anything about that before because the town I was in had no professional management. And once I found out about it and what it was all about, I finally figured out, and I won't tell you how old I was then, what I wanted to do when I grew up. I decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a town manager. I didn't know the first thing about how to do that, but fortunately a small town in Virginia decided to take a chance on a guy from Vermont to come down and be their town manager. A town of 1,000 people, very diverse population, a lot of challenges in the community, but some of the best people that I've met. I learned a lot. Once I was in it for a short period of time, I said, because this is what I'm going to do when I grow up, I decided to go back and get my master's degree. Started working on that when I was in Glasgow and finished that after I transitioned to Riverbend, North Carolina, which is a town of about 3,000 people, just outside of New Bern. Again, got to work with some fantastic people, different set of challenges, but a great community to be in. Served in Riverbend for 6 years and then transitioned to be the assistant town manager in the town of Apex. To give you an idea of the relative scale of the two, so Riverbend had a population of about 3,000 people. When I went to Apex, we had about 35,000, 36,000 people. And I've served in Apex until I came here to Duck. I did transition after about 18 months from being the assistant town manager to the town manager. And when I left there, the population was about 68,000, so it grew by a small city when I was there. Again, a different set of challenges. But I found it's really been all about people. The people that I've been serving, the people I've been serving with, both elected leaders, and been very privileged to serve with extraordinary public servants in each one of the communities that I've been. And I can say I've been here in Duck now just under 2 weeks, and the quality of the staff here is without question top shelf. They're great folks, passionate professionals wanting to do a great job for the community they serve. I believe that first and foremost I am a public servant. I don't work for me, I work for the citizens of the community. Foundationally, I believe that I'm a steward. I don't believe that when someone submits their tax check to the town that it becomes the town's money. It still belongs to the taxpayer. They're just entrusting us with that money to spend it appropriately and to the benefit of the entire community. So it really is about stewardship, and it's the stewardship of the little things also that makes a big difference. Big projects are great and they make a big splash, but it's how you spend every dollar of the taxpayer's money that I think we just need to keep focused on. And then from there, it's the elected leaders. They set the strategic priorities of the town. Duck has a great set of strategic goals, and I can see that the town's been making progress towards them, and I'm thrilled to be able to become part of this organization and continue to carry out the vision that's been set for the community.
My name is Jamie Carol McLeese Whitley, and I am the town clerk for the town of Manteo. As the town clerk, I am responsible for the maintenance and safekeeping of the town's records, which consist of contracts, meeting minutes, resolutions, ordinances, policies, and annexations. The profession of the municipal clerk is the oldest of the public servants in local government, and it can be traced back to before biblical times. The early keepers of the archives were often called remembrancers, and before writing came into use, their memory served as the public record. I am so thankful that I have technology that can help record the voices for me, which I transcribe into minutes and record into minute books. My duties as the town clerk remind me of the excerpt from the poem, "The Hill We Climb" by poet Amanda Gorman. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. Just like the town motto, preserve and prosper, it is my job to preserve the records and to document the prosperity of the town of Manteo for future generations to look back upon. Along with the town manager, the town clerk supplies accurate and timely information to the Board of Commissioners. The town of Manteo is represented by a Board of Commissioners that consists of the mayor and 6 commissioners who adopt legislation, appropriate funds, and set policies that govern the town. One of the biggest roles of the town clerk is to compile information for various meetings, such as the Board of Commissioners. For example, I work with citizens that wish to be on the agenda or want to speak during the public comment period during the meetings, as well as gathering information from the different departments for presentations to the board. It is my job to make sure that the ordinances passed by the Board of Commissioners gets recorded in the Code of Ordinances for the town and the state, and also sent to MediCode to be archived online. The Code of Ordinances is basically the rule book for the town. The Board of Commissioners appoint town advisory boards that are served by the town clerk. Those boards consist of Planning and Zoning Board, Board of Adjustment, Preservation and Architectural Review Committee, also known as PARC, Cemetery Board, Special Events Committee, and the Community Police Advisory Board. I work with the town planner, the program manager, and the Manteo Police Department in facilitating the board meetings, helping and drafting the agendas and minutes, and ensuring that any information and recommendations from these boards are accurate when they are shared with the Board of Commissioners. In 1989, the town took over the Manteo Cemetery and purchased an additional 1.09 acres in 1992 for the future expansion of the cemetery. Part of my duties as town clerk is to coordinate the sale of cemetery plots in the new section of the cemetery. With my new software, I can issue cemetery deeds and assist those who already have plots in the cemetery. Being the town clerk requires me to be a notary public that can administer oaths of office in North Carolina and notarize signatures on documents. I am also responsible for caring for the town seal. My favorite part of my job is being able to interact with people. My desk is much like a control center because almost everything goes through the town clerk, such as purchasing items for the town, acquiring the tags for town vehicles, sending public notices of meetings and hearings, and providing information for public record requests. I work with the program manager and the IT director to send out information to the public via the town's website, social media, and rave alert notification system. I have an email list consisting of press and people that regularly request specific notices, otherwise known as my sunshine list, that I use as well. If you have any questions about any of these items or would like to know more, please feel free to visit www.manteonc.gov.